It's okay, but look at it, be aware of it, and try to see the sensations or the feelings that it produces when we kind of jump from one topic to the other. So you use it as a practice also, to let the mind totally free, and to be the observer if you're not having a kind of, if you don't know what you should do, or if you forgot what you set out to do, like the motivation or practicing awareness. So if you lose your focus, or if you let the mind totally free, then check, how does that feel? So before we end the contemplation or the meditation, you could try maybe to, we talked about a source that is inspiring us. In Buddhism we would call it refuge, somewhere where the mind can go so that we calm down, become open, inspired. We get in contact with our own good qualities. You could try to invite that energy, that form, that being to this room, if you find it meaningful. And if it's a teacher, maybe even to imagine that teacher or the Buddha or whatever is standing behind you and putting his or her hands on your shoulders. What we do sometimes also with other people, to support them, to connect with them, to calm them down. And you try to feel that energy that is always there. That energy is always around. We always would have access to it. Try to see if that would be of some benefit by trying it out. So we're not left alone. And usually the motivation is, of course, because I want to have less negative emotions, be more balanced, be more open. But then that's okay, that's fine, but it's quite narrow. So we try to make it a bit wider. Like may this course, my participation in the course may become the cause for, yes, of course, my own happiness, openness, stability. But then may I, through that, be able also to contribute to the happiness of others. So we think about these people that in daily lives around us, my family, might also benefit them, be able to contribute to their happiness instead of making them suffer sometimes or hurting them. Then your colleagues at work, of course your friends, and all the other beings that one meets during a lifetime, even if it's just a person who sits next to you on the bus, or on the train, or behind or in front of you in the line at the shopping mall, in this, what is it called, supermarket, like that. So then the mind becomes quite wide again, quite spacious, not just I, me. But it's very narrow. Then our problems become very big. So again, it's just a suggestion for you to try out these thoughts and see whether you find them beneficial or not. Okay, so to start, if you need to stand up or maybe stretch a bit, by all means do. Take out your legs. Again, it's like, it's really important that you do learn how to relax the body, but relaxing the body is not necessarily like this as we think it is. It's like sitting free. This is not free. This is kind of, also it doesn't help the mind. Sitting with a straight back and sitting upright and feeling comfortable, feeling relaxed. So yoga helps with this, so that the postures, so that you learn to relax and all that. Because when the body is not relaxed, also the mind cannot relax. So it's like very much connected to huge other. And yeah, the body is, the body needs movement. So when you sit too long in a posture, even though you're very used to sit for a long time in a posture, I remember that movie, what was it, Samsara or something, it was awful, it was full of sex, and somebody kind of brought me there, we didn't know what was going on. And it was like, really done by Buddhists, by people who don't know what Buddhism is, because you remember it starts by this guy being in a 3-year retreat, and it looked as if he had never moved, so they had to kind of open his fingers, going like, it's not like that. First of all, once it's like this and not like that. And then also they move in their retreats. They eat, they go to the toilet, they do all kinds of things. It's not that they sit for 3 years without moving. So anyway, sorry for making fun. But it was really, anyway, not exactly what Buddhism says. All right, so I would like to read a quote before we start by Einstein, which I like very much. Einstein, I didn't know him, although he was living in Bern, where I live at the moment, so, but unfortunately it doesn't drop off, I think. He had a lot of very good quotes, and this one I really like because it really fits what we are trying to do. A human being is part of the whole, called by us the universe. A part limited in space and time. He or she experiences him or herself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. So our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening the circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in all its beauty. To feel as a part of a whole and not as an individual. So this is what we do in Buddhism. And then to act as a part of a whole by knowing if I destroy my leg, also the rest of my body will suffer. Okay, like this. And also last time we did this is like, you see the environment, like please also, when you go out of the room, turn off the lights, maybe also here, do we need them? Not sure, maybe not right now, well, because the windows are closed. But anyway, so, but especially when you're out, kind of, turn off the lights, with the garbage also, try to produce as little as possible, put it in the appropriate bins that now they're starting also, yeah, I think it's okay. I think also in Israel now they're starting to make efforts to have these orange bins. So people say, oh, but people just put anything in there. But be the first one to put the right things. This is how it starts. At least you have these orange bins ready for you to use. So please use them for. And even I understand what goes in there because there's drawings. So don't tell me you don't know what goes in there. You have to look and read. Yeah. Because also it's like if you close your mouth and you close your nose for 20 seconds, what will happen? You don't know? You want to try?
We're gonna fade out.
Huh?
Fade out.
We can't breathe anymore and we faint and we die. Okay? So why can we breathe? Oh, because there's oxygen. Yeah, this is what we think. Oxygen is freely available for everybody. Is it? Where does oxygen come from? Huh?
Trees.
From the trees. So if anybody in their right mind would not cut trees unnecessarily, because when we start to understand how dependent we are on them, yeah. But we don't. And it's really the whole of the Western world basically, because we have access to all these things, that we mindlessly just take, not really knowing, not even knowing where it comes from, and not, even though, they say, like in August we had already exhausted Mother Earth's resources for 1 year in August. So now we're taking from next year. And it goes faster and faster and faster. And yeah, we can go and say, oh, these big firms and they're polluting and all this. We're also part of it. So we can start. you know, without judging others, without getting angry at others, but we can start by being a bit more mindful. And this is very personal, this is what I'm saying. Don't go tell others what they should do, as I'm doing now. I'm telling you what you should do. But also do it. Yeah? Do the little things you can. Take public transport if you can. Take a bicycle if you can. If possible, one that still you pedal. It's very good for your health. Yeah, I know they say, but people don't want to come all sweaty to work. You know, I see many people on these bicycles who are not going to work. They're going for leisure somewhere. So, like, use your body. It's okay. You know. Anyway, so these kind of things that we can do to start to feel part of a whole. Then we don't feel so lonely anymore, and also we're not depressed. When you look at your food. By the way, I'm sorry about the food yesterday again. I mean, not again. I'm coming here since many years. It's the second time that the quinoa was not okay. So it can happen, yeah. So, but I'm very sorry. And then, of course, as I said yesterday, if your stomach is very sensitive, don't eat it. If it's like mine, who can eat anything. Luckily, this is why I survived India for 20 years. What do you think? If I would have a very sensitive stomach, it's like you can't survive in India. Like eating in all corners wherever there is food. So like that. So sorry about this. We are trying to do something about it. So don't think that we don't care. But it's difficult, yeah, because they're lacking staff at the moment. I don't know, if you want to be a cook, maybe you can talk to your Nif if you need somebody. I'm not sure. I don't know. Anyway, so this is what we're trying to do, to break down that kind of I and them, I and others, to see that we're totally depending on others, and that we are just. You know, it's just a tiny, tiny, tiny particle in this universe, and we make such a big fuss about ourselves. Me included, this is why I'm saying us. It's incredible how unreasonable we are. You know, so many beings. Even just counting humans, and then if you count animals on top of it, like insects and fish and birds and all this, and we think, I'm so important, wow, I'm so special. Yeah. It's an instinct that we have, and we think it's totally right to have that instinct, really, yeah. And this is where all the problems are coming from, because then we don't behave as a part of a whole, but we do behave as an individual. Okay, so we will start with what is called Lamrim. It's a very structured way of breaking down these borders or these kind of black lines we make around me and everybody else outside. Sometimes I allow, as Einstein says, sometimes I allow a few people into that circle that where I care about, and I'm also putting some effort into making them happy, but most of the beings are totally excluded from my circle. Some totally, that even they're here, I don't let them in, and some others, they're there, they exist, okay, fine, no problem. It might be a very peaceful mind, but it's not a very open mind. Yeah, it's kind of very remote from reality by understanding how much we depend on others. Just by thinking all the things you used this morning, just this morning from getting up, that made your life easy and comfortable. Do you think many things or not so many things? Do you think many beings involved in creating them? Huge amount of beings. The bed you slept in, the linens, the mattress, the pillows, the house, the shower, the water, the pipes, then the food you had. Why? It's like, we could spend the whole 4 days to kind of listing who was involved in, just from now, from getting up at 6 o'clock this morning until now. Yeah, 3.5 hours. How much did you do for somebody else until now? Yeah, people who work, yeah. People who try and sort out problems, yeah. But the rest of us, not much, is it? Or what? Do you feel guilty now? It's not the point. Don't make these kind of faces. Yeah, nothing. So we become aware, hey, maybe I could at least wish for somebody else's happiness, when you have good food. then you go, oh, may everybody enjoy this good food. And food you find it not so good. Doesn't mean somebody else doesn't find it good. You find it not so good, but nobody have to experience food that they don't find so good or whatever. Or at least may everybody have enough food. May nobody need to fight for the food. You know, to kind of use our thoughts instead of where can I get more of this and more of that or less of this because I don't like it. To be so self-absorbed and self-obsessed. To open up a little bit and also think about others. And as I said yesterday, we have a tendency which is, you know, like to judge everything from our point of view. So everybody else should do the same thing. Why? Yeah. I also kind of vegan food. Yeah, that's very nice. Like you know, like yesterday there was cake there, which probably had some eggs. But every vegan should know that there's eggs in this food by just looking at it, isn't it? So then don't eat it. It's fine. They put it out because there was no trina. So there was an act of kindness, actually. It wasn't an act of whatever. Because usually they give us some trina. Oh, sorry, yeah. The trina was boiled and the chalva was out. There seems to be shortage of sesame seeds. Thank you for correcting me. There was no chalva. So also in the modon, you know, like some people say, oh, there's too many sweets. If you shouldn't eat sweets, don't eat them. Other people go there, have a coffee and 2 biscuits, and then they're very happy. They have the ability to stop. You know, you don't need, because at home you kind of shut everything out, and then you come here, you go overboard. It's a sign that there's a problem. You need to work at it. Just shutting it away is not going to solve your problem. Yeah? And if the problem is so big that you can't resist, don't go to the modon. You have coffee in your room. There's a boiler, there's coffee, there's tea. If you need tea from the modon because you want plants, there's outside the rooms. So you have fresh kind of Louisa and geranium and I don't know what else you put in your teas there. And so again, you know, don't blame others for your problems. If you're vegan and you see, oh, there's probably eggs in it, then don't eat it. It's fine. It's absolutely no problem. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. Like also the way one starts to also, like the spiritual practice should start to kind of influence the way we behave in the world, in a way. Otherwise, if it just works here while we are here or on the cushion, then what's the point? Not much point. So we will use, to remind ourselves of the structure of this path, that short Lamrim. Sometimes it's called prayer. It's not a prayer. Lamrim, how could we call it? Kind of points, outlines. The Lamrim outlines, which are on page 12 in your little book. So that you start to understand the structure, because that is important. So we'll read it together. If you want to read it with me, it's fine. If you don't want, if you just want to listen, it's also fine. So the foundation of all good qualities is a practice that has been put together by Lama Tsongkhapa, which is this one here. Okay, he was a 13th century scholar, Tibetan scholar, 12th century, something like that, 12, 13, 14, around there, long time ago. Okay, so he made also like bigger texts of this. This is the essence of the bigger text. Lamrim Chemo is like 3 volumes about this big, and it's all in these 2 pages here. So the foundation of all good qualities is the kind and venerable Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again, please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negativities and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Seeking samsaric pleasures is the door to all suffering. They are uncertain and cannot be relied upon. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teachings is keeping the Pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so have all mother migratory beings. Please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. Even if I develop only bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I've pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. Having become a pure vessel of training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the 2 attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. And as I have become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pledges like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the 2 stages, the essence of the Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Gurus who show the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it have long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separated from perfect Gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the stages of the path, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. So if you are already a Buddhist, and you are probably aware that full awakening in this one lifetime, probably not possible, then this last verse is very important. In all my lives, never separated from perfect Gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma, and by completing the stages of the path, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara, or may I quickly become a Buddha, because it puts very, very strong impulses also on your mind that at the time of death, when the mind is very confused, it will wake up. Maybe somebody has the ability to show you a Buddha image when you are about to die, so then this wish wakes up and then it directs you where you want to go. So you have a rebirth that you can continue with your practice. Okay? So that's for the Buddhists. And I'm sure there's other, in other traditions that you might have similar things. Verses, quotes, verses that inspire you, verses and quotes that bring you back on what you're about to do. So that also we're not losing it at the time of death. Now I'm talking to you as if everybody believes in rebirth. Okay? So at the time of death, that you're not kind of floating around, not knowing where to go, and then maybe a negative imprint ripens, and you're reborn in a lower state, like in the suffering state. Yeah? We'll talk about this more this afternoon, about what happens to this. I'm not sure how much I will be able to go into details. As I'm saying, it's very short, 4 days, but I will hope to accomplish that. At the end of these 4 days, you will understand what we just read in a better way. You will be able to point some meaning to it. So now we go back to page 2. So these 4 noble truths, which seem like